Right now, I think it's enormously difficult because there are so many people who are out there making stuff, which is great, but there isn't really a venue besides, I'm watching TV in the afternoon and I'm bored and I want to try something new. And the biggest part of that is trying something new. Right now, that is not a huge part of our culture, certainly not our film culture. Right now, most of it is find a brand name and, that people already know and go with that. And obviously, other people have been just as curmudgeonly as me about this, and I'm guilty of it as anyone. I've been doing my superhero movies, etc. But we've got to a state where the studios are pretty relentless about just trying to have an in before they even start a project. That's not the case with all films, but it is with a ton of them, and obviously most of the big budget ones. Part of the problem is that there's a dialogue going on between audiences and studios that is devolving. And because they keep finding a lower common denominator. And this doesn't mean that the films are bad. It just means that the ways in which they're approaching what they're going to make have become kind of ossified. But at the same time, audiences are more likely to turn out for something that they already know and they already like. That's why, obviously the biggest movie of the last few years, Gem and the Holograms, was, just swept the nation. Well, okay, it swept my daughter, so I thought it was big. But doesn't always work. But the problem is that there isn't really a willingness by a lot of people to go into something that they don't already know. Now, none of this helps you, by the way, sorry, and you flew all this way. But I do think that it's something that needs to be addressed, that you used to go to the movies and have no idea what you were gonna see. I am actually old enough to have done that, to have gone to the local theater because something was playing. My parents would just send me by myself, and it could be rated R, it could be whatever, it didn't matter. It was just like, just get rid of him. And they were very weird conglomeration of 70s movies, but we just didn't know. That was the contract. I'll go see the movie. I'll open the box and want to see what's inside. People don't do that anymore, and we keep making it harder to. I have trouble watching movies after I've seen a trailer because I've seen the movie. They've given me every beat. It's terrible. But unfortunately, changing it means that we have to find a platform that people will come to with that contract of, I don't know yet, this is a new person, this is untested, I don't know what the plot of this is, I don't know where this stands. As long as they're not gonna be, suddenly heads being chopped off or something just egregious, like actual childbirth, much, much worse than violence on film. French movies, they'll do anything. But as long as, there's some parameters, people do need to sort of embrace the mystery of what a narrative can be so that we start, shaking up what a narrative could be, and they're not all hero origin stories. Now, if they're all hero origin stories about adolescent girls with superpowers, fuck all y'all, that's just what I like, okay? That's okay. But yeah, it's not something that exists. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot because I get questions like this, and I wish I want to be more helpful. I feel like there's a venue, whether it's on the internet, whether it's where if we could get people to subscribe to something that they go in going, surprise me, then we will have more opportunities like that, and people will be able to be heard who haven't yet. That's something that I would love to create, but I don't know if anybody would show up to that party. I like this outfit. This is maybe my favorite outfit.
You have confirmed that you're going to be doing Dr. Horrible 2. Are you?
Yeah, but I've done that like a lot of times. Every year, it's like I'm like Patton Oswalt saying he needs to lose weight. It's like every routine he does a bit about that. It's like I'm definitely going to get on it any minute now.
Are you yet going to release any ideas that you really have surrounding it? Is it going to be more like a prequel, like the comic, or is it going to be a continuation of the first film? Are we going to potentially get to see how Billy picked himself back up after the tragedy at the end of the first film?
Well, let me lay out exactly what's going to happen for you, and then I'd like to sing you a couple of the numbers that we've written. All I can think is me saying that it's a prequel just so the actors can just freak out and run to the gym. Oh shit, prequel, you son of a bitch. Otherwise, just kick it wet, hot American summer style and don't care. But no, it is not. It takes place after the events. It takes place at a time when Dr. Horrible is, sort of the king of the world. He's made it. He's made it big, and so everything is going to go really well. It's about 3 minutes long, and he just sings about that he's happy and there are birds, and that's it. That's all you get. But no, it's not a prequel. Nathan, go back to bed.
Hi. Wanted to say, I think I speak for a lot of people when I say we'd love to see you back on Twitter. But if you could comment on leaving and how audiences have changed since Buffy started in '97.
Well, everybody in the world now has the ear of everybody who wants to listen. And as we know, that's a double-edged sword. Certainly, Buffy was the first show, probably one of the first shows, where there was an open dialogue between the creators and the audience during the run of the show that would, on occasion, affect how things happened in the show. And but then that, sort of a little bit has devolved into "fuck you, do it my way," and that gets old pretty fast. I think a lot of discourse right now is devolving, and I think that unfortunately venues like Twitter have a lot to do with that when you only have enough characters to say, "Fuck you, do it my way." People aren't setting out reasoned arguments. People aren't paying attention for as long. They're just sort of saying their bit. It could be something lovely. It could be something funny. It could be, hang yourself. Here's a noose. When can I kill you? Stuff like that. Less fun, less interesting. But eventually it becomes a kind of white noise, and then you just you can't remember what the dialogue was, and you sort of stop having it. I didn't leave Twitter because people were being mean to me, although it was nice when it stopped. I left Twitter because I was fascinated by so much that I just sort of got a little addicted to it, and I was like, oh, I have to write about this, I have to write about that, look at this, and I heard all these voices all the time, and I had to step away so that I could hear my own. And after quitting Twitter is when I started to be able to write again, which took a while. Ultron was, a big endeavor, kind of made me sleepy after, so I had to shut out that noise. I would like always to be able to have a dialogue with the audience, but at the same time, you can't create by committee. You have to do things that come from your increasing gut, and that's just sort of there's parameters. It's important to understand the audience and to embrace them, but it's also important to know when it's your turn to talk.